A scion of many worlds. It starts off normal enough with a boulder being thrown at an appreciable percentage of the speed of sound. Then things get completely out of control. Unlike Magrica, who uses her wings, and Clarity, who uses weapons, Terry is an elemental warrior. The stone and earth are her tools. Also, Terry is either holding a grudge or the girl doesn't know the meaning of the word spar, because she follows up with the ground under him erupting in jagged crystal spires that then detonate into shrapnel. He blurs upwards and to the side. Terry is no fool, though, as most of the shrapnel was directed upward. There is a cry of slight panic as the pieces rain down on the surrounding crowds. "Control your attacks, Terry. Friendly fire is never acceptable." Jasper scolds her even as she launches herself into the air after him like a bullet. "Distraction," she says, slamming a fist covered in jagged crystal at him. He slams his own into it and shatters the construct. She brings her other hand around and a blade of crystal is formed around it. He catches it and throws her upwards, only for a boulder of crystal to manifest in front of her, and she shatters it to launch off it and dive at him. He dodges to the side with ease, much more comfortable in the air than her. Then the shards of the shattered boulder scream down at him as a fletchette rain of blades and death that chime and sing as they cut through the air. He outright teleports away from that one, reappearing above the swarm only to see them swoop after him and the vicious smile on Terry's face as she is not directing them. He dodges the swarm of death a few times, shooting Terry a look to see her smile wider than before. "You do not take losing well. No one should take losing well. You lost," Terry protests, and she raises her hands to direct the crystal swarm, causing it to go from a singing, chiming flock of crystal blades into a screeching dirge of edged doom. Clearly, she's learned from him taking the fight to the sky. He needs to up his game. He needs two things: information and a plan. The first leads into the second. So he strikes the crystals with his sword, not parrying them but listening to them. He can still dodge. The chime tells him about density and structural components. It also lets him know at what level they reverberate at. It's not easy to remember scientific formulae in the middle of a fight, but he pulls out the information and puts the plan together as he physically keeps dodging and then sheathes his sword. He warps and then jets to the ground, sends out a disrupting wave of energy and charges hard. The ground out of control for a heartbeat, Terry does the expected and brings down the crystal swarm to intercept him. Then Jasper lets out a powerful trill that is at just the right frequency. The crystals shake and then shatter into sand. He closes his eyes and puts on a blast of speed, crashing through the wall of falling sand and slamming a fist into Terry's stomach, breaking the stone armor there and transferring enough kinetic force through the sheer blow to send her reeling back. Then there is pain as she keeps her head and takes control of the crystal sand he just created. He warps behind her, leaving behind everything of her power and thus all the sand. She intercepts his blow with a cushion of sand, only a small amount as the rest comes rushing up and the ground begins to quake. He spits out a huge lungful of fire, and she backs away, her concentration broken for a moment as he melts the sand and entwines his own controlled axiom to disrupt hers. The rest of the crystal sand rushes in, and he counters with even more flame before controlling the melted glass and spraying it at Terry. She jumps over it, but that's what he hoped for, as he covers a wide area with it and rips out the heat, forcing it to instantly cool. His axiom reinforces the otherwise brittle sheet of glass and has the added benefit of cutting off Terry from reaching the ground with her axiom when she lands. "You play mean," Terry chides him as Jasper steps onto the glass. "Coming from the woman that tried to flay me alive in a spar?" "You can take it," she replies. "And you can't take this?" "I can, but you need to know that you keep making me push more than most. That's some mean fighting there. I like it." Terry remarks as she reaches to her head, and Jasper can clearly see one of the tiny crystals naturally growing in her hair, double in size, then split. She then has it grow in her hand into a hafted weapon with a brutal spike on the end. She then rushes at him, and he brings his swords out to catch the head of the bec de Corbin, and then grins as he pulls away one of his swords to slowly bring it about to lay it on her shoulders and end the match. Or he would have if she didn't abandon the blade lock to kick the side of his leg. He isn't moved and brings her down to the glass, pinning her. Her weapon falls to the side and he feels her channel energy through it. So he abandons the pin and nearly throws his sword at it before going back to pinning her. The weapon is deflected from piercing the glass barrier and re-establishing her connection to the ground, and his claw is around her throat. She struggles with the bec de Corbin for a bit before seemingly giving up. Her armor then detonates upwards like a goddamn claymore mine, and he's sent staggering back. This gives her enough breathing room for her natural crystals to all double in size and break off. As the shards hit her skin, they rapidly grow and expand to cover her in a suit of armor. He catches sight of an ecstatic smile on her face before it's covered completely with gleaming crystal. He nearly snorts. She's making a classic blunder. No air supply. She rushes him with a massive spike growing out of one fist, and he dodges by reflex, and she goes for the glass instead. He's out of contact with it, and his eyes widen just in time for her to pierce clean through the barrier, and the whole world erupts like an artillery shell hit. He lets out a roar of frustration, even as he shields himself with Axiom and finds himself hurtled into the sky, covered in dirt and the occasional shard of glass. This girl goes down as hard as a meteor. He then gets control of his tumble upwards and takes a look down. He'd swear the woman had been playing video games if he didn't know for a fact there weren't any on the planet. 6 massive spiked tendrils surround her as she has turned her suit of armor into a massive bunker that is also transparent enough to see clean through. He considers just blasting it with a light-based attack at this range. He's endured enough of them to know how to copy them fairly well. But at this range, with the shifting air, diffusion and thermal bloom will be a bitch and a half. If there was a vacuum between them, it would be different and she would already be bombarded. But he'll need to get closer. He angles his wings and blasts down. There's a bang as he leaves sound behind. Terry still has the presence to take a swing at him and nearly catches him between 2 massive spiked tendrils of earth. He slams into the crystal bunker and cracks it. No matter, it's still clear enough, and he brings in light. The sudden attack from every side due to refraction catches Terry completely off guard, and she screams in pain and surprise. He lets out a screaming trill to answer on the same frequency as the crystal and shatters it to rush her before she can recover, and grabs her around the neck before bringing his sword against her stomach. The stone tendrils, shattered crystal bunker, and everything else falls away, leaving Jasper in a ruined field and holding Terry by the neck, off the ground and with a sword across her gut and ready to cut. "You win," she says, and he sighs before gently putting her down. "You are an insane opponent to have." He chides her and gets a smirk in response. "And to think, I'm the one who lost that fight. Spar. That was a spar, a practice fight. Whatever you want to call it, we were fighting, and I lost to you, but I'm the insane opponent." Her grin is downright disrespectful as she fiddles with the shredded remains of her shirt. Everything below her breasts has been reduced to tatters due to her detonating armor trick. "I pray to the ancestors that you're going to repair the fields when you're done training," a nearby voice states, and Jasper smiles before turning to the concerned sister. "Don't worry, I've got this," and he's cut off as Terry pulls down and levels out the field, also pulling out one of Jasper's swords and holding it out to him. "Oh, thank you." The sister chuckles somewhat, and Jasper just shrugs. "Just because I'm willing to do it myself doesn't mean someone more competent at such things won't do it better or first. So you admit I'm better?" Terry asks. When it comes to earth and stone control, you have me beaten up, down, left and right. I find no shame in admitting that. Jasper replies, and she looks at him oddly for a bit before shrugging and heading back to the others. So, does anyone else want to go? I need anyone willing to come for the arena tournament to be at the top of their game. Jasper asks the crowd, and there's a pause before Lady Allure steps out. I'm not some absurd elemental user, Metak beast hunter, or anything of the sort, but I need to increase my own skill, and it's clear that you're willing to help with that. I formally request the next spar. Lady Allure states with a bow. Jasper matches it, and she nods. To the sky, she declares, and rockets upwards. He follows and is forced to deflect an arrow that slashes towards him. He could sense an enormous number of weapons in the pouches around her belt. She's packing an entire armory. He charges at her and she outright dances away, much more comfortable in the air than him. He's a good soldier and has an entire lifetime as an Urthani to fall back on. But that was a lifetime as a scholar and not an athlete, dancer, or warrior. His flight is extremely technical. He can go damn near hypersonic, but that's not good for precision. He scoots to the side to avoid another bevy of arrows. Those extra eyes of hers give her a lot of precision, and she starts trying to predict his movements and dodges. The arrows are a little annoying, though, so he's not very... He catches one and then finds that there's a rune on the head that suddenly unleashes a kinetic pulse. He tumbles through the air and teleports above her before stabilizing himself. He still has to dodge arrows, and he refuses to make the mistake of trying to deflect or catch again. She wants to use a bag of toys? Fine. Let's see how deep it is. He darts in close, weaving around the closer and closer arrows until he suddenly teleports to be right on top of her. His swords are out, and thanks to the sheath, he merely slaps the bow away and sends it tumbling below. She masks to dive after it, but his foot claw wraps around her lower leg armor, and he stops her advance. She turns and instead grips his leg with her talons and suddenly pumps her wings hard. There is no elemental enhancement to it, but a sudden tug of war game in the sky is something he has a distinct disadvantage at against her stronger and more streamlined wings. But he has axiom, so the fact that a moth can't fly as well as a hawk can go to the corner and cry. He slams down his wings and rips at the air with axiom to suddenly drag her up and outwards at speeds going faster and faster. She then decides that he's got a wonderful thing going and starts using the same trick, directed sideways instead, to send them into an insane corkscrew flight that's dizzying to look at, let alone be a part of. Despite the spin, Jasper is still forced to defend himself further as Allure brings out a spear from one of her pouches and starts trying to impale him on it. He deflects it a few times and it starts trailing a deep chill that leaves fog spinning through the sky. He locks it on the guards of his sword and slowly starts to pull her closer with his legs. Hell of a workout as he brings her closer and closer. "I forgot to tell you," she exclaims as she comes into losing distance. "What?" he asks, wondering how she's going to try and win. "I'm pregnant," she says, and his grip slackens ever so. She's suddenly gone in a teleport, and Jasper can sense her directly in the path of where the suddenly contorted and shifted equilibrium is hurtling him towards. He twists in the air, sees her ready with a massive club studded with spikes and dripping with liquid fire. He gets control and teleports to hit her from the back, her arm with the club under his control and his other one around her waist to keep her from drawing another. "Really?" he asks her, and she struggles for a bit, her wings slapping against him and her talons thrashing and slashing as she kicks all over to try and break his powerful grip. Then she gives up and slumps, then smiles. "Yes, it's very early, but much easier to tell than when I first sensed Magrika's children," Lady Allure says before he lets her go. She flutters away a bit, her left hand coming to rest on her stomach. "In a few months, I will be showing the Saramali growing here. But with the techniques of the grand midwives, they can be sensed. Does this mean you want to stay out of the arena battle coming up? No. If anything, I want to be part of it even more so that I can make sure you're going to stay alive and be there to help me with these children. I've looked into the old archives. Having a father around, even a little, is very good for children. Good, because you couldn't keep me out of their lives if you tried.